Okay, welcome back. There's no warm-up today. This is a very impromptu video, as you'll very quickly be able to tell. I didn't have any of my normal video gear there, but what I did have was a very helpful cooperative farmer with a spare hand and my phone. So I've recorded it on my phone and we're going to go through it. I thought I'd give you a running commentary. It should be quite useful for me to critique my own work. That's important, any line of work that you're in, farming, veterinary medicine, and beyond. So let's play and see where we go. So the background I got from the farmer here was that this cow, she's actually a second calver. This is the second calf. She had been paddling on for a little bit. She's clearly been uncomfortable last night, but really not made any progress. So he got her in this morning into this calving gate and had a feel, and all he could feel, A, that there wasn't a lot of space, but B, all he could feel was a tail. So first things first, investigate. I'm actually very glad I did this because I was very nearly looking at the size of the cow and him saying that there wasn't a lot of space, very nearly reached straight for the clippers and straight into the side door. That is the first learning for me, and we're only about 2 seconds in. Let's continue.
So I'm just trying to find what we've got going on. Adam here is correctly identified it as a breech and tail first. The hocks front legs are way back. I'm just trying to describe a reasonable sized calf, relatively modest size second calver as well. So we might not have space to move it. It may yet be a
So breech, a true breech is, where you can just feel the tail, the legs are ahead. It's not just a calf coming backwards. When the legs are coming, we just call that a posterior presentation. So for this one, the feet of the calf are way towards the sort of cow's belly button. So not simply a straightforward backwards calving.
twisted a bit. This isn't really a spectator sport, and I come to think of it. There isn't a lot. She hasn't opened up brilliantly actually when you get further in there.
Yeah, starting to hedge my bets now. She's not opened up, there's not a lot of space. And I do think that calves that are coming backwards and breeches, and this probably goes for lambs as well, often are quite big. And the reason I say that is because calves that don't have enough room to move within the dam don't get into position properly, and that's something that happens relatively late on in the very late on in the pregnancy, sort of the last really the very, very last stages. So I'm going to talk over that because it's so windy. I'm going to damp that down, that noise. What I'm saying is I'm trying to find the hocks. I'm trying to reach down with my hand, take that, and really lift that hock towards me one at a time. I'm also sort of pushing the calf's bum forwards to sort of, because it doesn't go straight ahead, it ends up sort of arcing down. That helps bring the hock up towards me. Once I've got that hock, I can then trace it down to the foot. I can carefully cup that foot and end up bringing it towards the vagina. It's a case of sort of going carefully, because the reason you cup that foot, as most vet students will know or learn if they haven't learned already, is that sharp hoof of the back foot can, as you're pulling it towards you, end up sort of piercing the floor of the uterus. I'm just making the joke there that I've got to make it look hard work, so the farmer thinks I'm earning my money. And you can see there, whoa, yes. Now it's, even if I get that other foot, we're not out of the woods because, like I said, they often end up being quite big, these calves. And sometimes the dams, their cervix doesn't open up brilliantly. They don't dilate. So even if we get the calf into a deliverable position, that's not to say it's actually going to fit. So all these things you don't know in hindsight, eh? As you can probably tell from the length of the video, we managed to get this one out the back door, but you don't know this when you're doing it. So let's speed ahead to the point at which I've managed to get that second foot up, eh? There we go, that's more like it. You do have to check, as ever, when you've got two legs, they belong to the same calf. It's not uncommon for the first of a set of twins often comes breech, in my experience. And I'm putting these ropes on, and I think I'm going to try and be clever by doing a double hitch to spread the pressure. Try and be clever for you guys, basically. And I always forget that most calving ropes effectively aren't long enough for that. So you're going to very shortly see me abandon that idea, and we're going to go for a full hitch. Sorry, just a single hitch. So yeah, but before we do anything, as you can see, firing in lube. Cannot have too much lube for a calving, ever, in my personal opinion. I'm going to try and be a hero and pull it out myself. No jack, just the human jack. By the by, I would really like to get a photo of my colleague Jack using a calving jack, because I could then caption it calving jack squared. Anyway, you can see there I've abandoned the double hitch and I've gone to a single. Now, for some reason, this is coming out sort of sideways, but I'm not too worried because they normally straighten up as they come out. Again, trying to be a hero. Trying to be a hero. And I'm trying to straighten up by hand, but I quickly decide that's... We put a bit of pressure on it. That should right itself. So, time for the calving jack, or calving aid, more appropriately. So that's ready to go. I always put the red rope on the leg that's on the right hand side, which actually in this case is the calf's back right leg. Just something I always keep for myself as a fail-safe, and I'm sure lots of other vets do that as well. So I need to get a bit of tension on, just tension the ropes. Now these calving aids, calving jacks, whatever we're calling them, they are tremendous tools, but they can really be used badly as well. So if you're unexperienced using them, or even if you are experienced using them, you want a bit of like a refresh, we can always be doing things better, just go and talk to your vet. So the main thing is not to rush, or with the caveat this is backwards calving, at some point I do need to get a bit of a wiggle on. So not at this point yet, because that umbilical cord shouldn't be compressed yet, which is going to be the sort of trigger for that calf to start breathing. Now you can imagine if a calf's coming forwards, by the time that cord is compressed, actually the head's out. So we can take our time pretty much. When the calf's going backwards, that head is inside the cow and it's surrounded by fluid and gunge. We do not want that calf breathing in that fluid and gunge. So with backwards calves, I do... Whoa, there she tries to go down as well. Nearly. With backwards calves, there is a bit more urgency, and it's just... You're trying to minimize any trauma or damage to the cow and the calf. Oh, freebie. So I'm trying to, while that calf's still okay and not compromised, I'm trying to stretch out the tissues. This is not a race, although you will quickly see me up the pace once I've got that tail head out. There's going to be a case of jack, 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 which I wouldn't do with a forwards coming calf. Here we go. And we're very near. So that tail head's out. That's point of no return there, or nearly out. There we go. Right, and here we're going faster, faster, faster. I've very nearly run out of jack. It's that size of calf. Oh, excuse me. There we go. And then I sort of quickly try and get a kicking range after I realise I'm in it. Get the calf out the way. Get the jack out the way. And you can see this calf. He's alive, but he's not great. Like that sort of stiff thrashing around is clearly pretty marginal. So I'm trying to get him in the sort of recovery position. So he's sat on the sternum. This applies to lambs as well. Legs out either side, a bit like a sphinx, I suppose. Trying to give him a bit of a whack. And I know it looks a bit tough, but that's just to try and stimulate him. Yeah, trying to get him on his breastbone, like I said, just to open up the chest, not lying on one side and compressing. Not hanging him on a gate either.
Emma's going to be livid. There's a student on the way. I'm really sorry, Emma. That was meant to be a section. But at least we got it on camera for you so you can watch it.
Yeah, that's me apologising to Emma, who is meant to be meeting me there. And sorry, Emma, again. And she did arrive about 1 minute after this, but we did get her to examine the cow afterwards and the calf, and we got a few drugs into it. So
there we go. Now the key thing is, that's a pretty big calf, but just A, to check her. So students will know this is spares and tears. Always got to check for spares. I don't think there's going to be one based on the size of that calf, but we're checking. Gets her own back anyway. And then tears, which is not unusual to have a small degree of tearing, which is, I won't show you the real gory bit, but thankfully she feels all good. Very superficial tear in this side of her vagina, but it's just a very most superficial layer. So what we'll do, I'll get Dan to put that down because he's been very helpful. Take that off. Thanks.
So stayed pretty much clean on my exposed bits throughout the entire calving and end it absolutely covered. That is an occupational hazard. So just to follow up, that calf got, it was pretty slow. So we got some sodium bicarbonate into the vein. It was suspected respiratory acidosis. I won't go into too much detail to what that is. Effectively, it's kind of a low level of oxygen because it's been slow in coming out. And the cow, she got some oxytocin, which helps with a number of things. The thing I really wanted to do is shrink up the uterus and really help it contract back down. Plus some Mescam, so that's just a brand name of a painkiller for cows, and that should last her a day or two. And she got a penicillin, so again, similarly lasts 2 or 3 days. That's just going to help with the inevitable contamination. We try to be as clean as we can, but there's no getting around that giving birth and having someone assist you up to their shoulders. You're dragging in a lot of bugs that shouldn't be getting in there. Yeah, that's unavoidable, unfortunately. So that's where we left it. It's important to say, though, although that calf's alive, it's definitely compromised. And although this was definitely the right call by the farmer here, and actually this particular farmers, they've made fantastic strides to reducing their sort of calving intervention over the last few years. You still got the old one. And although that calf's alive, it's got a good chance of not being alive within the next few days, and that's simply because it's not going to be the quickest getting onto its feet. Therefore, it's not going to be the quickest getting colostrum into it. Therefore, it's going to be at much high risk of developing several different health issues, such as joint ill, navel ill, calf scours, and just generally not getting off on the right foot. that's me being a pessimist, but it's just it's important to say that, you know, we can't just walk off the farm and give ourselves a pat on the back and say what a good job, well done. Really, we need to be thinking about how can we minimise that or happening, like stop it happening next time. And likewise, that cow, although she, you know, we've assisted her, we've managed to get away with not doing cesareans, not opening up her abdomen in a farmyard, and we've safely delivered that calf, which did need to be delivered somehow. The chances of her getting back in calf next year, well, for next year, are significantly reduced by the fact we've had to assist. So the reason for that is, like I said, we've inevitably dragged in a degree of contamination. It's going to be a degree of infection in that reproductive tract, and that is going to reduce the chances that that reproductive tract is going to sort of get back nice and healthy again in good time, ready to reconceive. And remember, a cow's pregnancy is about 283 days, and if you've got a 365-day year, which we do most years, that only leaves about 80 days to get back in calf. That is not a long time to, basically get her reproductive organs back in order and healthy again to reconceive. So that's trying to snatch pessimism from a lovely result, but that's reality. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Again, hopefully this is working well. I quite like doing it. I quite like sort of setting the camera away and talking to you guys. Hopefully that helps. And yeah, catch you next time. I think the next video will be some of my own cows. So see you for that one.